We've heard it a lot lately. There's an opioid epidemic in our country. Our public health is at risk, and continued use and abuse of opioids has become a serious national crisis. Opioids are a class of drugs including heroin, synthetic variants such as fentanyl, and prescription pain medications. The term opioid is a pretty large umbrella as it covers illegal drugs and painkillers legally prescribed by our doctors. More than 115 people in the United States of America overdose on opioids every day. But how did this happen? It started in the 1990s. Pharmaceutical companies believed that the drugs would not be addictive and told the medical community just that. After later observations, they realized that they were indeed highly addictive. And that's part of the problem. Even when prescribed to us by our doctors, opioid use can easily lead to dependence. As years went on, the opioid crisis just got worse. By 2015, 33,000 Americans had died of opioid overdoses, and the numbers continue to rise. The opioid epidemic statistics are alarming. According to drugabuse.gov, 21 to 29% of people who are prescribed opioids for chronic pain misuse them. 80% of people who misuse heroin started with misusing prescription opioids. Opioid overdoses increased 30% from July 2016 to September of 2017 in 52 areas in 45 states. Opioid usage affects a wide age range and demographic, but millennial usage is particularly concerning. While millennials' use of other drugs has been declining, their use of opioids continues to increase. But why are millennials abusing opioids in such high numbers? According to U.S. News & World Report, the reasons for millennial opioid usage is fairly simple. Prescription medications do not have the same stigma as other illicit drugs. Additionally, drugs are often normalized in pop culture. According to researchers from the University of Pittsburgh, 33% of the most popular songs reference drugs and drug usage. Popular shows on networks like MTV and the CW show young adults partying and using drugs excessively with no significant consequences. They are easily accessible. 1 in 3 Americans are prescribed opioids. Millennials are coming of age as the most stressed generation. Drugabuse.gov tells us point blank that young adults, ages 18 to 25, are the biggest abusers of prescription opioid pain relievers, ADHD stimulants, and anti-anxiety drugs. In fact, it's estimated that 12% of millennials will have used prescription painkillers non-medically before the age of 20. And the most scariest statistic of all, in 2014, more than 1,700 young adults died from prescription drug overdoses, mainly opioids. That's more deaths than any other drug overdoses, including heroin and cocaine combined. There is an opioid problem in America, but there is also a much bigger youth opioid problem going on behind the scenes. We've set out to radically change the statistics and bring the youth opioid epidemic to light. With that, we've opted to establish a social awareness group for millennials by millennials. MAOA, pronounced MAO, stands for Millennials Against Opioid Abuse and is a social program similar to MAD or DARE. MAO sets to present a unified social media campaign across multiple platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, targeting teens and millennials. The message will focus on how to deal with life's pitfalls and struggles head-on, rather than treating the symptom with an opioid fix. Messaging will center around the common ground. We know you are struggling, we've been there, and we can help. MAO's main platform for messaging is social media. Studies show the youngest adults stand out in social media consumption. Facebook and YouTube dominate this landscape, as notable majorities of U.S. adults use each of these sites every day. At the same time, younger Americans, especially those 18 to 24, stand out for embracing a variety of platforms and using them frequently. Statistics show social platforms are catching all the attention. Some 78% of 18 to 24-year-olds use Snapchat, while 71% of Americans in this age group now use Instagram, and close to half are Twitter users. These are the eyes we want and need on our messaging. The social real estate and accessibility to our target demographic is undeniable. Social media is the best approach for MAO to be seen and heard by the masses. Getting the MAO name out and known is half the battle. Facebook and Instagram ads will help establish our brand recognition while creating visibility for our information and message. The goals of the campaign are simple: create awareness and education. Credibility and longevity are key to connect with other millennials, so continued social advertising and a constant stream of reliable new information are imperative. 2 rules generally apply to millennials. First, they want to feel your brand has a vested interest in them before they commit to any services that you might provide. Secondly, they differentiate themselves from other consumer generations with high interactivity and an open nature towards new technology and consumer engagement. From these 2 facts, it's obvious that catering to the needs of a millennial target audience through social media is important. An important point we want to address through Mayo is to change America's perception on pain and how to deal with pain. The educational messaging through our social media campaigns will slowly expand and evolve to incorporate this important conversation, that pain is okay and there are coping mechanisms and alternatives to drugs. Breaking down the stigma that surrounds opioid addiction is a heavy undertaking. Addiction can happen to anyone, and those struggling should not fear asking for help. Mayo hopes to destigmatize addiction for millennials and encourage reaching out for the help some desperately need. Through Mayo, we hope to shed more light on the opioid epidemic facing millennials today. Through education, outreach, and ultimately by providing a safe space and forum for discussion and thought, we hope to make a ripple of change with millennials.